How you doing, Karen? All right. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Well, I do my Kilmer voice. Feel like not feel like saying the Lord's Prayer. I wonder. You're tired. Tired of what? Life?
Yes.
So here, I mean, it's the same as last week. We kind of get an idea where you're at with sermon notes. I hope you are thinking of your project. If you are low, Reese, weren't you here last week?
At church?
No, you were at confirmation?
Yeah.
You have a chance to make up for your lack of sermon notes. You have to do a service project. And I think I sent that out to your mom. And you have to write a paper about it.
She didn't tell me anything.
All right.
She said like
sermon different on Saturday than Sunday?
No.
all she told me was like there was some video and I watched the video.
Did you watch the class?
Like I watched some parts of it, like the beginning where you like.
When I send you a video, I want you to watch the whole thing.
It was like an hour.
Yeah, good. We all spend an hour here.
If I double up on,
Yeah,
if I do like a sermon on Sunday and then on the Sunday school class on Sunday.
Yeah, that works.
Alright, so if I do that.
You have to do it.
Yeah, I have to do it. If I come every single day.
So in case you're forgetting about the service project or act of goodness, you must do a service hours or whatever. Go to Feed My Starving Children. And you can't count as if you went last month. You have to do it again. Go to a food shelter and help out for a couple hours. Do a project at school where, you know, maybe kids with special needs need help with tutoring or something. And I want a page write-up, okay? And what you did and what it means to serve God and what it means to be good. You guys understand? And 8th graders, ones who are being confirmed in about a month, I would start on my faith statement. I would start on it yesterday or 2 weeks ago when I gave it to you.
It's due next week, right?
No, it's not due next week. It's due. I think it's due in 2 weeks.
Can you resend it to me? Because my friends didn't get it.
I'll resend it. Faith statement. I want it to be thought out. You're gonna read some of it or all of it during the confirmation service in which you get confirmed. Okay. So today,
It's you.
I don't think we have discussed the 10 Commandments enough. And I remember the test we took in the beginning of the year. Our 10 Commandment knowledge was lacking. And I kind of think that what we spoke of last week, anybody remember what did we speak of? No. Reese.
Don't get tempted.
Well, temptation. Temptation's gonna happen. And you will lose that battle from time to time. Everybody does. But the 10 Commandments is a good way for you. It's a good guideline for you to live by. It's the best guideline for you to live by and to help you with these temptations. So if you could learn them and learn why we have them, I think you'll have a good, strong base to help you with that temptation. Oh. Well, thanks for being honest. Does anyone need a pencil? Please don't bring pencils to class. Sure.
Listen, Coach, I go on to a Friday box and say everything and I just come and I come in.
Sure. However you.
Sunday school on
however you want to work it. If you want to come at 9 o'clock and do Sunday school and then do the 10:30 service, or do the however you want to work it.
Or do 5 and then like 9:30.
When you are finished, bring it up to me. Do not work together. That wouldn't work. I gotta sharpen my pencils. Got one good? When you finish, you may bring it up to me, and if it's done correctly, I'll give you a piece of candy.
Ooh.
Where are your pencils?
Number 4 across is gonna be complicated.
Is your mom here?
Yes.
Number 7 is weird.
Hey Matt, can you move your jacket so
Yeah.
Owen can sit there? Here, have a seat right here, Owen. Here, we're gonna do the 10 Commandments today. Do that. If you do it correctly, bring it to me. I'll give you a piece of paper or a piece of candy.
Copy, Reese.
That's good. Hey, while you're working, actually, I was wrong. Ryan, it's with an A.
It is? So VAI.
While you're working, listen, we have kids in our church. The McHugh boys are twins. They're on a TV show called Genius Juniors. Is that what it's called? You guys ever see that?
No.
You ever hear of it?
No.
Genius Junior. You ever see it on TV? I think it's on Channel 5 or something. Neil Diamond Patrick, and you know the guy from
I've heard of that show.
the guy who played Doogie Howser. He's on these kids are on the show. They're in our church. Try to check it out.
Oh, what other kids?
They're next.
I can't share answers.
Oh yeah?
The little frizzy hair kid?
Really? The kid, like the main kid?
Yeah, I think so.
Wow.
He came to our school actually.
Yeah.
They're actually going to be in confirmation next year. The boys.
Sweet.
They're in 6th grade.
Your older sister was
Let's see if she said it.
Yeah, she's still gonna be able to see him. Because when she gets up, she's gonna be
Oh yeah, Sunday, May 6th. Yeah, and remember to tell your parents about the pizza and bowling party, April 27th at Edison Park Inn.
Because I keep messing up the calendar.
got a new console.
You may.
Cause this eraser is rock solid.
Why do you need an eraser? You should just know.
You don't know what not.
What type of score?
Yeah.
How about 6 now?
Watching Deadpool.
Yeah.
Didn't you get his email?
No.
What else is Sunday? Right to us. Tuesday.
Wait, which one was that?
Oh, don't say it, don't say it. La, 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 la.
Wait, is that number 2 down?
La, 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 la.
What's wrong with me?
Make sure your name's on it.
No.
I'm trying to figure out another name for that. I think
Here.
some of that.
Wait, is it a book?
We're all in 2 down. What?
2 down?
Yeah.
Matt got it, so I heard him say it.
Wait, what is 2 down?
Does it start with an S?
No, yeah,
It
it
starts
starts
with
with that.
It starts with
Hey, no cheating.
Only ones I have are
Cheater.
Only another
Only
name
ones
for
I
that.
don't have are 4 cross and
So
2
then
down.
one.
Wait, what's one?
Matthew.
I've never been so
Toss me the
5 down. I
answer.
can't think of anything that's second little than behind.
Leviathan.
What other names do we call Sunday that start
Monday.
with an L?
Lords.
Lords.
Whoa!
Whoa! He just said.
Got him.
Wait, is that 2 down?
Ooh.
What other
Got
names
'em.
do we call Sunday?
Wait, and we have 5 down?
Who was it?
I'm done.
That's 3 letters.
Wait, what's the... What's this M&M?
Wife,
I'm
before,
guessing
witness, neighbors, kills.
Oh, wait.
All right. Take a piece.
Kill? Sweet.
Okay, take a piece, Connor. Here.
I just heard kill.
Wait, what's 4 cross?
Neighbors.
Which one is that? Let's see.
No, it's called strategy. I'm not cheating.
It's okay.
No, and I thought it was a jawbreaker. I got a piece of
You
gum.
shall not bear false blame against your neighbor. You shall not bear false blame. And it starts with W.
Yes.
All the simple ones I don't get. Because, like, you shall not.
Huh? Thanks.
I thought it was a
That's what I
jawbreaker. I thought bubble gum.
But,
I think that was down.
yes, no kidding. I got it.
No, it was just a plastic container.
Right.
And then there was a ball inside.
That's good, that's good. Tyler? Everybody clear? Boys laid up?
Honor. You
Very good, yeah. Not a lot of chocolate in there.
No, you idiot.
was May 12th.
Kill rivers with his mane, full wife, steel father.
No.
Take one.
What was the first one?
Oh, I think it's.
How do I get out of here? How do I get out of
Story
here?
left. So bad. No one's fun. Connor, the story's so bad.
Savor the flavor.
Hello.
Alright,
Can you see me?
If you stand in front of the
Tell,
thing,
no, tell me if you can see me from where I'm standing.
Sit in my seat, Reese.
yeah, you can see where he's sitting, but not where you're sitting.
They know they.
Not if I go like this.
No.
So just turn it around.
alright, have a seat.
I'm not telling you.
Hey, can you focus that on the,
Yeah, it is.
Why
focus
is there
it
two-
all the way.
I got this.
Wait.
On top.
Do you have to zoom in?
Camera machine.
Watch out.
There's no touch screen. You might be.
Click the button.
Okay, I zoomed in.
Alright,
buddy,
it's on the
like
video, it's on display.
nerds.
Stop.
Tap it.
Wait, you have to bring it up.
So, how did the
broadcasting?
Ten Commandments
Yeah,
come
I'm
to be? Anybody know? Tell me the story of the Ten Commandments. What?
You're lifting
Alright,
it up.
better question.
I'm just trying to move it
Alright, you're
down.
good. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Sorry.
Who retrieved the Ten Commandments?
Oh, alright.
Who retrieved them?
Wasn't it the guy named Noah?
No. Ryan.
His name starts with an M. Moses.
Moses.
It's like up there.
Okay. What did Moses do
He received.
before this?
He climbed up on a
He waited in the forest for 40 days and 40 nights, and then he found a stone tablet with the inscription, right?
No.
Or this.
40 days and 40 nights
Yeah, Indiana.
has a lot of significance.
No, didn't he climb
There's
up
no
on-
reindeer in the story, no. Owen, what did Owen say, Ryan?
I couldn't hear it.
Because you were talking. Yes. It has to do with the Israelites. What was going wrong with the Israelites? Enslaved by who?
By Moses.
No.
I would have gotten
Hey,
this thing.
no. Who said that?
Me.
They were enslaved by Moses.
Wait, yeah. Wasn't
They
it like,
were.
What?
Yeah,
So weird.
because Moses.
I saw Genesis.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Let me just
I actually saw
Put your
Moses.
hand down.
I actually saw the movie Moses.
let me run down the story. Quiet, please. Hold on. I'll wait. I'll wait. So the Pharaoh of the time when Moses was a baby decreed that all Hebrew boys be killed. And the Hebrews were the Egyptian slaves. So Moses' mother knew this and sent him in a basket down the river, knowing that the baby would float by the princesses who frolicked in the river at a certain time. And one of the princesses who wanted a baby saw the basket, saw the baby, took the baby as her own, and named him Moses. And he grew up as an Egyptian prince. And he was really, really good at what he did. He was conquering lands. He was tasked by the Pharaoh of the time to build a city. And then when he was building the city, he was really good to the slaves. He gave them a day off. Sunday, he gave them every seventh day off. He gave them food and water. Wow. But he was still known as an Egyptian. Yes.
Isn't that when like he was growing up? That was the one Pharaoh dude who like God sent down like frogs or something like that.
We're getting to there. So then, it was found out that Moses was not an Egyptian. Bloodline was very important back in his day. That he was a Hebrew. How can a Hebrew be an Egyptian? And the lady who found him in the river came forward. And
Savageness.
yes. So then Moses was cast down with the slaves. Yes.
Wait, though, wasn't it like workers like this overseas. Because it was like the time and there were people over there from the States working. He saw the guy like being mean to the slaves and beating them.
Yeah, and Moses,
He
yeah,
accidentally killed
Moses killed one of the slave drivers.
people, and so he had to.
Well, kinda, yeah, there's more to the story. I don't wanna tell the whole, I'm summarizing. But once they found out Moses was who he was, they sent him back down to the slaves, and then basically when Moses was growing up, his brother, the Pharaoh, Ramses, sent Moses away because he didn't want him around because Ramses' wife still loved Moses. I know, it's crazy.
Didn't Ramsey have like 100 wives?
I think just one.
Well, there was. I think it might have been Ramses the third, but he had like
Yeah.
400 kids or something, and like 100.
I have one wife and 3 kids, and that's I don't know how you
150
deal with
wives.
that.
He had 150 wives and like a bunch of kids. That's how.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I don't
I
know if that
learned
was the
about
Ramses.
Yeah, I know that story.
Maybe. Look, Google it.
Look
Look it up.
I'll look it up.
So wait, bringing it back. Bringing it back. So Moses is cast out to live in the barren mountain land, and he finds a wife. He finds a woman out there, has a kid, and as he's tending his sheep or whatever, what does he see? The burning bush. You guys know that story?
Oh yeah.
He sees the burning bush. Hey, you know what? We should watch that.
No, it's long good.
Well, it's the same thing.
Deadpool too.
Yes, Deadpool.
A bush camper?
Oh my god.
Hey, right there.
He's on fire.
For kids.
You guys shouldn't watch Deadpool. You guys are too young.
Man, I like it. I read
I saw it first.
Oh,
I watched it on a plane because no one's actually watching.
Looks like Cardi B.
Don't blame me.
oh. This is a really old movie that was like.
I just watched this, so it comes out every Easter.
Oh.
Wasn't this like that movie that was like 5 hours long or something like that?
This is a long movie.
I saw this movie. It's good.
So this is his right hand man Joshua, who went out to find Moses. And Joshua ends up leading him after Moses goes to heaven. This is a big movie back in the day. Big movie.
Did it win awards?
So there's this bush. It's burning, but it's not being consumed. I was just thinking, this is like 1940s. Think of the graphics. Back then, this is unbelievable. People were like amazed. Like this graphic. I'll get rid of that. What does bondage mean? Slavery. So what's God doing?
Hi, you're gonna lead your people out of Egypt.
Who am I that you should send me? That's what Moses said. Who am I that you should send me? All right. So Moving on. Moses goes to Pharaoh.
Want me to unzoom it?
Moses goes to Pharaoh and says, listen, dude, you're not treating my people cool. We need to let the Hebrews go, let the Israelites go. They're God's chosen people. And the Pharaoh's like, no, dude, I need my city built. They're staying. So then Moses unleashes, and God unleash the 10 plagues of Egypt. Anybody know what they are? Just do one.
The sea turned red.
Sea turned red. Ryan, what's another one?
It rained blood, I'm pretty sure.
No, that was the sea turning red.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Matthew?
Where basically everybody puts one child unless they quit.
That was a deciding factor.
Yeah.
That was the angel of death. Oh, and what was another one?
Like crowds and all that.
Yeah, they had locusts.
Look up.
Locusts. What's another one? A silly one.
Frogs.
Frogs, yeah. I know. What else? Anybody else know any other plagues back there? You guys got to know one plague.
Polio.
There was 3 days of darkness.
The Black Plague.
No.
Are you kidding me?
There were boils on their faces and all over their body. Boils. You guys know what a boil is? And lesions and all this great, like, bad stuff. And bugs that killed the cattle. There was 10 of these things. Am I missing one? Oh, and then it hailed fire.
How is that?
And Pharaoh wasn't listening. All this stuff happened. Pharaoh wasn't listening. And then the last one was the 3 days of darkness. Moses stopped it. And then Pharaoh still didn't change his mind. So he told them that God is going to send the angel of death to kill all of Egypt's firstborn son.
I would die.
No, was it women too? It might have been boys and girls.
No, if you,
How did the angel of death know not to go into the Hebrews' house? Anybody know?
Painted lamb's blood on the.
Painted lamb's blood, and it's a big tradition in the Jewish faith to have the Seder meal, which is like that. It had unleavened bread. That was,
That's Passover.
yeah, it's the Passover, passing over their houses, killing the firstborn, and Pharaoh's son dies in the process. Yes.
I know this might be a little off topic, but what does it mean when people put like bags and candles inside them and like put them on their street?
A
Is that
lantern?
It's just decorative, man. It's just decorations.
A lantern?
Yeah, it's like Halloween or.
No, it's like
Jack-
during
yeah.
like Christmas time, like people put like
That's
bags
like
with
when that dude
candles
comes to like
inside.
put something in your shoes, right?
No, that's
What?
that's in
What?
Happy Gilmore.
Oh, that St. Nicholas and all that?
Oh boy.
Why would he put?
Tony,
Nothing
the
to do
class
No,
stopper.
no.
Reese.
Want me to unfocus? I mean,
No, you're fine. It's fine.
Okay.
As long as they can hear. So Pharaoh's son dies. He's grieving. He's grief-stricken. Think if you had a kid and your son died, how sad would you be? So he says, "Get your people out of here, Moses. Get out of here." So all the Israelites, they pack up their stuff and they head out into the wilderness. As they're leaving, they get stopped by the Red Sea. Pharaoh has a change of heart because his wife is talking in his ear. Why did you let them go? They murdered my boy, and now Moses is gone. Pharaoh's army mounts up in their chariots, and they go to kill the Israelites. They are backed up against the sea.
Oh, and then the sea opened.
Yeah. Israelites are scared.
I saw
Oh yeah, I remember that.
A lot of things
That's
going
what I was
on.
thinking about, but then I was like, that was like
A lot of things going on in this story. So then, Israelites are scared. Moses raises his arms, and opens the Red Sea. Now this is a sea. This is a big, think Lake Michigan. This isn't like some little lake. Look up the Red Sea one time and you'll see it's a big, big sea. It's not something small. Opens the waters, gives the Israelites a path to walk through. Oh, in the meantime, God sends like a tornado of fire, a pillar of fire, to stand in front of the Egyptians so they can't get to them. So then once the Israelites are across and they're safe, God takes away the pillar of fire. Egyptians go after them in their chariots, and then Moses takes his arms down and the water crashes down on the Egyptians. Yes.
Oh, I have a question. Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Why would God didn't God have a different connection with the Hebrews?
Yeah.
What didn't they not think Jesus was the Messiah?
Well, yeah, but this is still before Jesus.
Yeah. So the Old Testament is what the Jewish faith focuses on. They believe in. They don't believe that that the Son of Man, the Son of God, has come. You understand?
Oh.
They just believe in the Old Testament. Christians believe in the Old and the New Testament. So we're cool with Moses, right? Moses is cool. Abraham is cool. Elijah is cool. All the prophets.
We get more to read.
Yeah, we get Christmas.
Basically,
Kirsten. Yeah, go. So then,
basically, they thought that when he said, go save you, the scriptures talk about them, somebody saving them, they thought it meant, literally, he would become a king before the world was made, their own country again.
yeah,
We believe that it means that he saved us spiritually.
yep. Jewish people, the Jewish thing is more of a physical act. All right. So the Israelites are free. They have no threat. Okay? They got away. They were in bondage for 400 years, guys. Generation. Think of that. 4 centuries. You are a slave. Your family, your grandma was a slave. Your great-grandma was a slave. Her great-grandma was a slave. 400 years they were in bondage. Building cities for the pharaohs. So they're finally free. And they set off for the wilderness. That God was going to lead them to the promised land. Right? So God tells them to go by this holy mountain. I forget the name. What's the name of that mountain, Matthew? Do you know?
Which one?
The one where the 10 Commandments are. I'll look it up. But
There's so many mountains in the Bible.
so he gets the 10. He gets to the mountain, and then God tells Moses to go up there. And this is what happens. Not that.
Oh yeah!
This is so inappropriate.
I know.
I watched the first one. I was
Stupid
like,
ad.
whoa,
For Moses,
that was pretty appropriate, man.
DP2. All right. All right, pay attention. When you hear that a lot in church, I am, means God. Ryan, please don't bother Reese. Come on. So those are the tablets. And then, by the way,
He breaks them.
Yeah, you throw them at the.
let's see, does it show that? No.
Written with the finger of God.
He just easily fixes
All right. So then he gets the tablets. He goes down. He sees that the Israelites
Are worshiping and
have made a golden calf. And they're worshiping a golden calf. After all God did for them, the 10 plagues, the angel of death, the getting them out of bondage, opening up the Red Sea, and killing the army of the Pharaoh, they still don't believe. All that stuff was done. And then there's even more instances where they don't believe. So God smited them. How did he smite them after this? Yes.
congratulations, you get to wander for 40 years in a desert.
He made, yeah.
Nice job.
He made that whole generation of people wander the desert for 40 years. Yeah. They were promised the land of milk and honey. That was a term in the Bible, milk and honey.
Is that like a good thing?
Back then, if you don't like milk or honey, then I don't know.
How does it get honey?
Or maybe they drink milk from other animals too, like they had goats. And,
cows, chickens.
so, 40 years of wandering in the desert, God smited. And Moses wasn't even able to get into the promised land. Moses, he didn't even die. He kind of like ascended like Jesus did. He went up into heaven. He's like, God's like, dude, you did enough. Come on home, buddy. So, now,
They just died in the heaven.
that's the story of the 10 Commandments. That's the story of the 10 Commandments. These are the 10 Commandments.
They've done too much stuff. 67 should be okay.
Huh. Maybe it's a bad picture. But it has all of them.
And 5 should be 4.
And does it say murder or does it say kill?
No, remember the Sabbath.
It says kill, not murder.
I don't know, I can't get that off.
He said kill earlier.
Can't get it off. Well, we'll go from here, watch. So now I've got this series of videos, I think you guys will get a lot out of this, by a guy named Dennis Prager. He's going to tell you why the 10 Commandments are relevant, even if you're not a Christian.
No document in world history so changed the world for the better as did the 10 Commandments. Western civilization, the civilization that developed universal human rights, created women's equality, ended slavery, created parliamentary democracy, among other unique achievements, would not have developed without them. As you will see when each of the 10 Commandments is explained, these commandments are as relevant today as when they were given over 3,000 years ago.
So I gave you guys each a piece of paper. I want you guys to write. Yeah. Oh, here.
You shall not murder.
I want you to write 2 takeaways from each video. Okay? 2 things that popped out to you, and you're going to share them with the rest
Which
of the
video?
class.
The
This one.
Oh,
Man.
Sorry, can I see?
Hey, it's okay. Can you wait? Hold on there, Alex. I got to ask you.
In fact,
Watch
they're
the
so
videos.
relevant
2
that the 10
takeaways.
Commandments are all that is necessary to make a good world, a world free of tyranny and cruelty.
So we'll take a bunch of
Imagine for a moment a world in which there was no murder or theft. In such a world, there would be no need for armies or police or weapons, men and women and children could walk anywhere at any time of day or night without any fear of being killed or robbed. Imagine further a world in which no one coveted what belonged to their neighbor, a world in which children honored their mother and father and the family unit thrived, a world in which people obeyed the injunction not to lie. The recipe for a good world is all there in these 10 sublime commandments. But there is a catch. The 10 Commandments are predicated on the belief that they were given by an authority higher than any man, any king, or any government. That's why the sentence preceding the 10 Commandments asserts the following: God spoke all these words. You see, if the 10 Commandments, as great as they are, were given by any human authority, then any person could say, who is this man Moses? Who is this king or queen? Who is this government to tell me how I should behave? Okay, so why is God indispensable to the 10 Commandments? Because, to put it as directly as possible, if it isn't God who declares murder wrong, murder isn't wrong. Yes, this strikes many people today as incomprehensible, even absurd. Many of you are thinking, is this guy saying you can't be a good person if you don't believe in God? Let me respond as clearly as possible. I am not saying that. Of course there are good people who don't believe in God, just as there are bad people who do. And many of you are also thinking, I believe murder is wrong, I don't need God to tell me. Now that response is only half true. I have no doubt that if you're an atheist, and you say that you believe murder is wrong, you believe murder is wrong. But forgive me, you do need God to tell you. We all need God to tell us. You see, even if you figured out murder is wrong on your own, without God and the 10 Commandments, how do you know it's wrong? Not believe it's wrong, I mean know it's wrong. The fact is, you can't. Because without God, right and wrong are just personal beliefs, personal opinions. I think shoplifting is okay, you don't. Unless there is a God, all morality is just opinion and belief. And virtually every atheist philosopher has acknowledged this. Another problem with the view that you don't need God to believe that murder is wrong is, a lot of people haven't shared your view. And you don't have to go back very far in history to prove this. In the 20th century, millions of people in communist societies and under Nazism killed about 100 million people. And that doesn't count a single soldier killed in war. So don't get too confident about people's ability to figure out right from wrong without a higher authority. It's all too easy to be swayed by a government or a demagogue or an ideology, or to rationalize that the wrong you're doing isn't really wrong. And even if you do figure out what is right and wrong, God is still necessary. People who know the difference between right and wrong do the wrong thing all the time. You know why? Because they can. They can because they think no one is watching. But if you recognize that God is the source of moral law, you believe that He is always watching. So even if you're an atheist, you would want people to live by the moral laws of the 10 Commandments. And even an atheist has to admit that the more people who believe God gave them, and therefore they are not just opinions, the better the world would be. In 3,000 years, no one has ever come up with a better system than the God-based 10 Commandments for making a better world, and no one ever will. I'm Dennis Prager. Join Prager University, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and sign up for free at prageru.com.
It's a conservative website.
What about the Constitution?
I'm not bringing politics into this, but
What about the constitutional
That's
convention?
country law, it's not
I
world
never
law.
actually seen a video like from.
it's very good.
UN laws.
All right, so
Still,
even people who don't believe in God, who aren't Christians, follow the Ten Commandments, right? And just like he said, without God, believing not killing somebody is just an opinion. Nolan, what's the takeaway?
I said that without God, we don't know right from wrong.
Right. What do you got, Connor?
The Ten Commandments are all that are necessary to have a good world.
Yes. Ryan.
God is the only one who can determine if murder is actually good or not.
Yep. Owen.
I don't think God controls like morality.
God controls morality. Yes. Timmy.
If God doesn't say that something is wrong, it's not wrong.
Good. All right, so now he's got a video for each commandment. We're going to watch the first 5. Next week, we're going to watch the last 5.
So,
Two more.
Yeah, I want 2 more takeaways. If you need more paper, let me know.
yeah.
Wait, 2 more from each or 2 more total?
2 more from each video.
What is the first of the Ten Commandments? Might seem like an odd question, but it's not. Jews and Christians give different answers. The reason is that what we know as the Ten Commandments is, in the original Hebrew, the 10 statements. And since the Hebrew is the original, we begin with the first statement, which all religions agree is, I am the Lord your God, who took you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. This statement is so important that none of the other commandments make sense without it. First, it asserts that God is giving these commandments, not Moses and not any other human being. Second, God is the one who delivered you from slavery. Again, no human being did this, not even Moses. Therefore, you have an obligation to me, God. And what is that obligation? That you live by the following 9 commandments. This is the beginning of what is known as ethical monotheism, the greatest world-changing innovation of the Hebrew Bible. It means 2 things. Ethical monotheism means that the one God, that's monotheism, is the source of ethics, of morality. Morality, an objective code of right and wrong, does not emanate from human opinion. It emanates from God and therefore transcends human opinion. The other meaning of ethical monotheism is that what God most wants from us is that we treat other human beings morally. None of the 10 Commandments concern what humans must do, quote unquote, for God. Pre-10 Commandments religions all believe that people must do a lot for their gods. For example, feed them, and even sacrifice people to them. But now, thanks to the 10 Commandments, mankind learned that what God wants is that we be good to our fellow human beings. Even the commandments concerning not having false gods and not carrying God's name in vain are ultimately about morality. The thing we can do for God is to treat all his other children decently. Every parent can relate to this. Parents, or at least healthy parents, have indescribable joy when they see their children act lovingly toward one another, and indescribable pain when they see their children hurt one another. So too God, who is likened to our Father in heaven, cares most about how we treat other human beings, all of whom are his children. The third critical teaching of the first statement, I am the Lord your God who took you out of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, is the importance and the meaning of freedom. Note that God is not saying in this introduction to the 10 Commandments that he created the world. It surely would have made a lot of sense for God to introduce the 10 Commandments with this statement, I am the Lord your God who created the world. That is, after all, pretty impressive and would make sense. I created the world, you better listen to me. But no. The one thing God declares is that he took the children of Israel out of slavery and into freedom. That's how much God hates slavery and how important God considers freedom. The founders of America based their entire view of America on this belief that God wants us to be free. That is why the most iconic symbol of the American Revolution, the Liberty Bell, has only one sentence inscribed on it, a verse from the Hebrew Bible, "Proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof." But there is one other equally important lesson about freedom imparted by the opening statement of the Ten Commandments. What freedom means. The giver of the Ten Commandments is in effect saying, I took you out of slavery and into freedom. And these Ten Commandments are the way to make a free society. You cannot be a free people if you do whatever you want. Freedom comes from moral self-control. There is no other way to achieve it. And fourth and finally, by telling us that he liberated the Hebrew slaves, God made clear that he cares deeply about human beings. It is impressive to create the world, but what most matters is not only that there is a creator, but that the creator cares about his creation. All of that is in the one statement with which the Ten Commandments begins. I'm Dennis Prager. Join Prager University. Subscribe to our YouTube channel.
I am the Lord your God, you shall have no other gods before me. Who thought there were so many other meanings to that? Right? Yes, Reese.
One thing we can do for God is treat everyone equally.
Yeah, and I can attest to the kid being pushed down as a father when I'm in my kid's school, when I work there as well during the day, when other teachers tell me how well they're behaved and how kind they are. I like that better than them getting good grades. And I'm sure Miss Kilmer back there agrees. Because she would rather have her boys be kind, gracious, and good boys to their friends. Right? And I'm sure your parents are the same way. Okay? What's your takeaway, Owen?
They don't really have to be for God, just like to treat everyone else, all of creation.
That is being good for God, right? Being nice to everyone else. Isn't that like an act for God?
You don't like sacrifice anything for God. You just have to.
Lemke, right.
Oh, God.
I get you.
I said that we live by the Ten Commandments.
Boys.
Oh, come on, Tyler. You're falling asleep at the wheel.
Yeah.
Gardner.
Garbage. No, the Ten Commandments were written so that the people could give something back to God after he created basically everything and help them get out of slavery.
Yep. Good. Matthew.
I found it interesting that when he wrote, this is something that I didn't know, that in the later translation, the direct translation is actually Ten
10
Commandments.
statements, yeah.
I know.
I didn't either. Kyle Kilmer. Give me a takeaway.
When I put, I think God is giving all these commandments to us.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta go? Give me a takeaway, then you can go.
I said God wants us to be good for our fellow community.
Damn. See you later, Anna. Alright, so that's the first one. We shall have no other gods before him.
Can we play now?
Sign up for free.
We'll get out of here.
No other God.
Let's discuss the second commandment according to the oldest,
I
that
was
is the
saying that
Jewish
wrong. I'm so
enumeration of the Ten
The
Commandments.
second one is
In
no other
Christian
gods.
tradition, it's the first commandment. The most common translation begins, you shall have no other gods before me. The commandment then goes on to prohibit both making idols and worshiping idols. Most people, when they think of this commandment, understandably think that it only prohibits the worship of idols and the worship of gods, such as the ancient pagan gods of rain, of fertility, all the other nature gods, and chief gods, such as the Roman Jupiter and the Greek Zeus. However, there is a major problem with this understanding of the commandment. Since no one today worships these gods, let alone worships idols made of stone, most people think that this commandment is irrelevant to modern life. The irony, however, is that this commandment is not only relevant to modern life, it is in many ways the mother of all the other commandments. Why is it so relevant today? Because today we have as many false gods as the ancients did. And why is it the mother of all the other commandments? Because if we identify false gods and avoid worshiping them, we will eliminate one of the greatest barriers to a good world, false gods. So let's begin by defining a false god. The point of biblical monotheism is that there is only one God, and that only this God, the creator of the universe, who demands that we keep these 10 commandments, is to be worshipped. Why? First, because one God means one human race. Only if we all have the same creator or father, as it were, are we all brothers and sisters. Second, having the same parent also means that no person or group is intrinsically more valuable than any other. And third, one God means one moral standard for all people. If God declares murder wrong, it is wrong for everyone, and you can't go to another God for another moral standard. When anything else is worshipped, bad things result. Not only things that can obviously lead to evil, such as the worship of power, or race, or money, or flag, but also things that are almost always seen as quite beautiful, such as art, or education, or even love. Yes, any of these often wonderful things, when worshipped, can lead to terrible results. Take art. Many of the cruelest humans in history loved beautiful music and art. But as a music lover, I learned early in life the sad fact that great music can be used to inspire people to follow evil just as much as it can be used to inspire people to do good. The great Hollywood director Stanley Kubrick vividly made this point in his classic 1971 film, A Clockwork Orange. In it, men rape and murder, while classical music plays in the background. Take education. We all recognize how important education can be, from preparing people to be able to find work to understanding the world. But education in and of itself, divorced from the higher ends of God and goodness, can lead, and often has led, to great evil. Many of the best educated people in Germany supported Hitler and the Nazis, and almost all of the Western world supporters of the genocidal regimes of Stalin in the Soviet Union and Mao in China were highly educated. There is nothing about a PhD that guarantees a person will be wiser, kinder, or more ethical than someone with only a high school education. The same holds true even of love. Love, of course, is so often beautiful, but it too can lead to evil. In the 20th century, people who put love of country above love of God and goodness often committed terrible evil. And here's a test for you. Imagine that the pet you love and a stranger, a person you don't know and therefore could not possibly love, are drowning. Do you first try to save your pet or the stranger? Well, if love is an end in itself, you save your pet. But if you hold human life